Hi all. I hope you guys have written today's question. So, topic for today was GS4, and I hope you guys have written answer. And we had three questions, which was from ethics section. Obviously, we'll be dealing with case study in the later half of this program, as I had already told you guys before. So, I also request you all to get your answers evaluated on the website of Collector Babu, and it will be for free. And try to reap as much benefit as you can of this initiative. Try to share this video with your friends who are also aspirants, and also try to comment on the video and tell us what are the scopes for improvement and what are the questions you have, particularly with respect to ethics. You can give your suggestion and also post some questions which will be answered in due time. So I'll be sharing my screen as has been the step, and wait a minute. Okay, so I'll be sharing the screen so that we can discuss the question thoroughly. Yes, let us begin. Okay, so let's have a look at the model answer. Because I have written it in the Word document, I'm not adding a lot of diagrams as of now, but all these diagrams and all will be added in due time once we start getting acquainted as to how we are supposed to answer the question, especially of ethics. Okay, so let us go to today's question, which is from here. Okay, let us read the question and try to understand what are we supposed to write in this question. The will to power exists, but it can be tamed and be guided by rationality and principles of moral duty. Examine this statement in context of international relations. So, the theme from which this question has been asked is ethics in international relations. We have been given a statement to say how there is a will to power which exists among all the international players who seek to dominate others, but it can be tamed and guided by rationality and principles of moral duty. Here, you will have plenty of examples. You can start it from the uh, the rise of Taliban in Afghanistan itself, or the rise of Trump to power, or you can talk about a lot of other examples which will be specific to international relations. You will have good examples, you will have bad examples. So let us try to answer this question, and let us first break it down. The will to power exists, but it can be tamed. So, in one or two line, you'll first have to explain what the statement means, and then you'll break down the question in parts like unchecked will to power and guidance by rationality, guidance by moral duty, etc. So, and then you'll be concluding it. So, to actually explain will to power, you can talk about Nietzsche's idea of becoming an Ubermensch or the will to power, or you can just explain it in simple terms. Like the will to power highlights the natural drive for dominance, yet unchecked power leads to conflict. Aristotle, and in the second statement itself, we'll put in the idea how it should be guided by rationality and moral duty. Then we'll talk about Aristotle's principle of ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethics, rationality, and emotions provide a framework for balancing power with morality and rational governance in context of international relation. This is a fairly decent introduction which puts in all the thing that we'll have to talk about. Now, in the body part, you can explain each part and give some example, like the unchecked will to power. In context of international relation, power manifests in dominance. okay, and military supremacy. This unchecked ambition often destabilizes. You can talk about Cold War. Yes, you can also talk about USS war against the evil, the axis of evils, that Iran, Russia, etc. Okay, and North Korea. So we can talk about the role of rationality, and in the U.S. war against the axis of evil, which it considers. You can talk about how embargo, how sanctions have actually led to suffering of the common people more than the suffering of the dominant rulers or the dictators. Then let's talk about the role of rationality, which is given, talking about rationality and moral duty. So, rationality helps to focus on mutual benefits rather than treating international relation as a zero-sum game. Okay, talking about how European Union emerged for rational and mutual cooperation, so that the rivalries, etc., can be transformed into political alliances for a strong economic framework, for a strong political framework. Then you can talk about importance of moral duty, how there is this humanitarian angle involved in moral duty and understanding and playing of the roles in international relations. You will talk about India's position of non-alignment. You can talk about India's vaccine matri policy, or you can talk about about rescue operation. There is this empirical moral duty. So then we'll talk about diplomacy and how diplomacy can be a way forward. We'll talk about Nelson Mandela's Truth and Reconciliation Commission that showed a lot of commitment to emotional angle, to morality, to rationality, rather than fighting. It was intended more to put a halt on fight and to bring people together. So we can just conclude it by what Aristotle had said. Rationality tempers emotion, moral duty directs action, and emotion humanize decisions. Together, these principles can ensure a balanced and ethical approach. And this is how our first answer is done. So let's go on to second question. It's a very simple question, which is the most prototypical ethics question, which is about emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead of against you. Do you agree with this view? Discuss. Obviously, there is nothing to not agree with this, but I have written one way in the answer. But if you intend to put in some counter view, you're most welcome. And in fact, I would encourage you to do so. First, we'll talk about how EI makes emotion works for you, and then in just two or three sub points, like very small points about maybe 5 to 6 words each, you can give a counter to this, how becoming too much emotional can hamper rationality. Okay, that is also view, but still we'll have to focus on the first part itself, how it helps to make your emotion work for you, understanding what emotional intelligence truly means. There's also one figure which I would urge you all to make, and let me draw it. What you're supposed to do is make a table, like a better table than this, obviously, and make 4 boxes in it. And then you'll write about the components of EI as was given by Daniel Goleman, like self awareness, self management, okay, see, social awareness, and relationship management. We'll talk about these are the and you'll just highlight that figure, components of emotional intelligence as given by Daniel Goleman. Okay, that this will work, and try to make this figure because it's a fairly simple question, and try to include value addition. So whose definition are you going to give? In this case, you can actually use definition of Daniel Goleman of what emotional intelligence is, or you can use a different definition of EI, which I always use, which is of Salovey and Mayer. You can define, Salovey and Mayer defined EI as the ability to monitor one's own and others' emotion, discriminate between them, and use emotions to guide thinking and action. So you can use this definition in all the EI related questions. And if you don't have this definition, please include it in your note. Then you will talk out the first part. Do you agree? So you'll write making emotions work for you through EI. Here, I'd also suggest you all to write fully that yes, I agree. EI makes emotion work for you. And then you will give some points how it does. For example, it helps in managing self emotions. Like it is one of the component. If you're writing it in this way, it's good. Or else you can also write in that way. You can make a box component by Daniel Goleman, and you can use like self awareness. Then you can talk about how self awareness helps in making emotion works for you. You can write it that in your own box. So instead of making a box like this, so what you can do, instead of making a box like this, just as a figure, if you write like this, make a figure like this. But if you are using a different approach, which I'm suggesting, then you can make a table. Okay. And here you will write the components of EI like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You'll write self-awareness, then you'll write self-management, social awareness, relationship management, and then you will explain how it helps in making emotions work for you. Okay. These are the two ways in which you can answer. Both are good, but it's up to you what you would like to use. Okay. So let's see how we'll be approaching this question. Self-awareness help in regulating individuals emotion, helps in regulating individuals emotion and helps in channeling them like anger, fear, frustration into constructive action. You can talk about how Mahatma Gandhi is an epitome. He controlled his anger, etc., and channeled it into non-violent disciplined satyagraha movement. You can also talk about it helps in making taking a call of one's conscience. Okay. For example, after Chauri Chaura incident, Gandhiji recalled the non-cooperation movement. So you'll also talk about interpersonal relationship. It helps in enhancing it. Like it allows people to understand empathy. It allows people to see more than what is just apparent on the surface level, more than what just people say, but understand the cues from the body language. For example, CEO Satya Nadella transforming Microsoft's culture by emphasizing on interpersonal relationship, empathy, innovation, collaboration, teamwork, etc. We'll talk about it helps in driving leadership and decision making. You'll talk about examples like Jacinda Ardern's emotional intelligence she displayed during the Christchurch mosque shooting, or you will also talk about the empathy she showed during her handling of the COVID situation. It will also help in conflict resolution and stress management. You can give examples like Ratan Tata after 2008 attack, how he was there to help his employees and help all the guests there, and he also paid for their surgery, I guess, the treatment. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so we can give, and then we'll write the conclusion like emotional intelligence transform emotions from liabilities to asset, enabling constructive actions in challenging situation. Okay, or you can just conclude by Daniel Goleman's quote, like how IQ will give you 20% of the result, and EQ will give you 80% of the result, or something on this line. Now we'll talk about the other kind of question which UPSC gives, which is writing short notes in about 30-40 words each. Okay. So for 110 marker, you will be getting 5 questions, and for each then it's just 2 marks, and you will have to write around 30 words. Generally it becomes more, but let's see. And how you're supposed to answer this? By making points and by giving one example for each of the thing you're explaining. For example, constitutional morality. You can just give a definition of constitutional morality: upholding constitutional values. Okay, justice, liberty, equality, secularism, etc. You can then one more point you can give about ensuring that these principles are democratic in value and these are against the societal pressure. For example, and then one example. In this case, you can give Navtej Johar judgment by Supreme Court, striking down Section 377 of IPC. Okay. Then the second point is conflict of interest. Many examples you can give. Chanda Kocher's example you can give of conflict of interest in issuing loan to the company in which she had stake. Okay. You can very easily define conflict of interest when there are it arises when personal gains conflict with official responsibilities, leading to compromised decisions. Then you will talk about probity. Again, a simple rule: give a definition of probity and give example of probity, and you will get many good examples of civil servant who just said no to corruption, or you can just say how bureaucrats refusing to take bribe influencing decision. Okay, but it would be better if you can find some examples, and you will on Better India, etc. You will find examples of civil servant who showed propriety, who showed probity, etc. Or you can just give examples of traditional examples like Lal Bahadur Shastri resigning after the railway accident, or you can give example of any other famous civil servant in this domain. Okay. Challenges of digitization, just how here you can also give a data about the percentage of digital or electronic penetration in India, about the internet use. You can also talk about challenges of digitization. You can write plenty about urban rural divide or phishing attack, cyber attack, terrorism, etc., data leaks. Okay. And then devotion to duty. So you will just say how what devotion to duty means, like being utmost being an utmost responsible to the work that is assigned to you, and not just doing it as a responsibility but also being accountable to the work that is given to you, assigned to you. Okay. And then you can just give example like Uttarakhand tunnel collapse, where rescuers worked day in and day out to rescue the workers who were trapped in the tunnel collapse. Or you can end by a quote saying how Swami Vivekanand had this emphasis on utmost devotion to duty. Okay, so I guess we are done for today, and this is how you'll be approaching ethics question. If you have any question, any issue, or anything, please feel free to comment and ask your question. It will be answered in due time, and hopefully, you guys are enjoying the initiative. Whatever it is, just comment it and get it evaluated. Bye bye.